Citizens of YouTube, what is fluff? Fluff. What's fluff? Fluffies. Fluff is ideas without substance. Fluff is ideas without tactics. Fluff is ideas without any explanation of how to accomplish or fulfill, satisfy, achieve those ideas. So I'm going to do a little review of this article that I read, and I'll be honest with you, I started like yelling at myself when I was reading this. I was like, oh, come on. Because fluff, my dear friends, is what people think soft skills are. Not because they do not think it is important, because everyone says communication is the most important thing. Everyone says it, but nobody respects learning it because it's usually fluff. If you've watched some of my other videos or if you're taking my courses, it's little things like people just give you these big ideas without any follow through, any tactics, any how. They'll tell you what, but they never tell you how. And in this video, hold on, I'm going to be reviewing Mr. John Bowe. Is a speech trainer and award-winning journalist and author of I Have Something to Say, Mastering the Art of Public Speaking in an Age of Disconnection. And the whole art of public speaking is such a cliche. And Mr. Bowe, I'm sorry, but I think you speak in a lot of cliches, because one of the reasons I got frustrated when I read this article is seeing the same, it's just the same thing over and over the years of a bunch of fluffy stuff that doesn't apply to people's day-to-day. And listen, I'm not just going to talk trash, good sir and citizens of YouTube. I'm going to back it up. I'm going to give you what I think. Then I'm going to try and give you the how from his ideas to challenge myself, because who am I? I mean, I'm not an award-winning journalist, right? But give me a mic and a group of people right now without any preparation, and I will back it up. And I put that challenge out to every client I have and any person who ever challenges my ideas. And Mr. Bowe, I challenge it to you too. If you don't think what I'm saying is substance, let's put it to the test. Okay, but enough about all this showboating and stuff like that. Let's talk about cliches, let's talk about ideas, and let's try and give these ideas that don't have any substance some substance. Even though the title of the article is, the trick is to distill your message into these 15 words. Wow, 15 words? Gimmick. Nice title though, right? Nice clickbaity kind of thing. All right, so here's a simple formula. Okay. By the way, I'm not reading any of this part because this was all just like the same old cliches. 74% of Americans suffering from speech anxiety. Did you know people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying? Who hasn't heard this kind of stuff, right? Being a great public speaker has nothing to do with your personality, with overcoming shyness, or learning to act confident. It's a technical skill. Then why is it the art of public speaking? Just calling you, man. I'm just calling you out. Okay, so let's get to it. Whether you're doing a TED Talk or going for a raise, you must first define these two things: your audience and your purpose. Obviously, like these two ideas, he acts like this is something that you've never heard. This is everyone all the time saying these things. And if you're like me, when I was learning, it was always about how. Yes, I know I should identify my audience, but how? How do I know what they want? How do I figure that out? Yeah, I know I should distill everything down to like a clear, certain purpose. And I thought I did. And that is the core of what you don't understand when you write stuff like this, is that all the advice you're giving people, they think they are following. But because there are no tactics, specific examples, because they're just ideas, there is no way for them to apply what you're saying. And they think they are applying what you're saying, but they have no benchmark to put it against. How do you identify your audience? What if your audience has different needs? What do you do then? Is every audience the same? Do they all have the same needs? Really? Are they all is a benefit for 5 people in the room the same benefit for 10 other people? And I'm just calling it on this stuff right here. Why is it important? Why are you speaking to them? I thought I had that figured out, and everyone thinks that. But probably what happened is this: they would say that to you, and you would say, well, what does that even mean? And in the course of coaching, they would get to a stronger substance. And so this is why you feel that you can achieve this. Because here's the harsh truth, man. It's not because of your coaching, it's because they're practicing over and over in front of someone. And I know you mentioned that before as a tactic, and that's the only thing kind of I agree with in this course. That's why so many coaches, all these people from the corporate world, they all think they got it figured out because when they coach, they see all this amazing results. But the truth is, it has nothing to do with you saying, you know what, why don't you make it a little simpler? It's a little bit complex. And it has everything to do with them practicing in front of people. And that's all coaching boiled down into one simple thing. Dude, anyone can be a coach. Everyone is a coach. All right, but enough complaining. Let's talk about these 5 words. As a result of my talk, they will understand this and respond by doing that. And I see, like, if this was an exercise for yourself, I guess, but should you say this to the group? Should you say this in your presentation? How do you use this? So here are a few examples. And again, it doesn't tell you how to use this. As a result of my presentation about our company's analytical platform, they will understand how they can help them boost sales and respond by hiring us to consult on their portfolios. And if someone said that out loud to you, would you even care? You probably tune me out because people don't talk like this. There's a bunch of things that I talk about called the liar's parallel, in that people who are lying and people who are trying to speak fall into the same traps. That's why they're so hard to listen to, and there's something wrong when there's something off. And it's one of them is formality, using words you wouldn't use in a normal conversation. And the other one is generalization, speaking in general terms versus specific anecdotes or specific examples. So what do we mean by a company's analytical platform? I defy anyone listening to this video to give me an example of an analytical platform. And right now you're thinking, you're like, maybe like Google Analytics, but this means nothing. It's too general. They will understand how we can help them boost sales. Okay, so here's what I would do if I was going to teach you a tactic. Here's what you need to do. You need to say, instead of saying analytical platform, as a result of my presentation about our company's analytical platform, you got to tell me something very specific that your analytical platform does. As a result of my presentation on how our analytical platform allows us to identify when someone wants something and when someone no longer wants that thing. We can better target our advertisements to boost sales by a minimum 5% within the next year. Now, because that is very specific, it might make you skeptical. You might want to question it. And that's a good thing, because the first time you heard this statement, it did nothing, compelled nothing. But if I can compel agreement, disagreement, curiosity, skepticism, I'm getting something from you. And that's the reason why you need specifics. This next one has something specific. As a result of my explanation for why we will grow by 21% next year, giving people a number is such a good idea. And this is Mr. Bowe, I will give you credit here, because giving an example that has a specific is so important. And here's the best part. A number will anchor people. A number will anchor people. And that's probably going to be one of the only things they remember. But as a result of my explanation, how does that help you? How are you going to explain? How long should it be? What does an explanation mean? Is it going to be an explanation of what you do? Is it an explanation about your strategy? This is just so general that it means nothing to anyone. As a result of my Q4 sales presentation, they will understand why we need to focus more on developing younger customers and respond by approving the budget to grow our research team. More business ease. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I know that you're just making up these examples, right? But it's such generalizations that people are like, yeah. But then guess what? They're going to write the same thing for their specifics. So for example, as a result of my Q4 sales presentation, they will understand why we need to focus more on developing younger customers. Couldn't you say, as a result of looking at the average income of people under 17, of the average allowances of people under 17, in my sales presentation, we will understand why we need to have some in-app purchasing, or why we need to have these 5 TikTok influencers be our spokespeople. Like, those are specific things that people can agree or disagree with, and good. Because if they agree, people love being right. And if they disagree, then they're watching the rest of the presentation for all the holes, which means you got them and they're listening. So that's me tearing apart your ideas here. And it's not even that your ideas are bad. It's that it's the same old thing over and over. It's ideas without any real substance, and it's not going to apply to a lot of people. So people are going to read it and think it's really interesting, and it won't change their behavior. Okay, tips for preparing your speech. Memorize your introduction and conclusion. Dude, have you ever heard a speech that was memorized? It's terrible. It's always terrible. Here's why. And this is, again, taking the idea and putting some substance underneath it. Here is why. The way we write is not how we speak. If you want to talk about an interesting TED Talk, there's this amazing TED Talk where this guy kind of talks about the language over time. And he makes a very interesting point. And I'm sorry if I can't remember his name. I'm just kind of, this just came off the top of my head. I do reference him in my course, though. I have this course on communication and public speaking. It's in the bio. And I do talk about him and show the video. He says, texting, people think that texting is the degradation, whatever that word is, of the human language, but it's not actually. Because texting is not written language. It is our attempt to make verbal language with words. That's why it's so weird and different. That's why it's like so many different images and emojis and everything like that, barely like abbreviations, but you still understand it because the way we write is not how we speak. So instead of memorizing your introduction and conclusion, here's what you should do, friends. And this is, I'll give him credit. It's one of his points below. What you have to do is identify 5 or 6 people or sneak it into your conversation and try out your opening badly in front of other people until you find your own words. And then every time you say it, it's a little bit different, but that's okay because it's in your own words and it sounds like you're talking to them and not at them. Also, if you practice, like what I do is I memorize, like if I'm going to ask a question, like how many people send the exact same resume out? What percentage of people send the exact same resume out to potential employers? Because whatever, this is a job thing. I would ask that question like 5, 6 times to different people. And every time it'd be a little bit different because of the course of the conversation. But that's fine because I'm building the muscle memory of saying that in an actual way to someone, not memorizing at someone. Information versus communication, dear friends. It's not about you. Every decision you make must demonstrate that you're talking for your audience's benefit. And here's another idea without substance. Yeah, no kidding. How? Because here's the thing that you need to understand, Mr. Bowe. Every single person who designs their presentation thinks they're doing this, but they can't identify though they're not doing it. Everyone does a presentation and thinks they're doing exactly this, and they don't realize they're not. So how can we realize what that is? How can we realize that it's not about us? Do everything you can to help them hear and understand you. Again, like, they're trying. Of course. What do you think people are doing a presentation saying, I don't care if people understand or hear me? I want this to be all about me? No. But there's no substance here. Use short words, sentences and paragraphs to express your ideas, physical, concrete, and vivid images that appeal to the senses. Sure. How? Where's the examples here? Give me one example. I'm going to give you a strategy, dear friends. Listen, if you ever want to do everything you can to help them hear and understand you, here's what you should do. It's a 1-2 punch, okay? You can use this first thing and then the second, or the second then the first. You identify a problem in one sentence and the solution in one sentence back to back by completing these 2 sentences. In a perfect world, blank. And that blank is an actual experience that you have had. And I'll give you an example. And then imagine, in a perfect world, everyone under the age of 20 would be on LinkedIn. So we could identify up and coming people to bring into our organization. Now imagine if we could put job postings on TikTok. See, it's a specific example, not a general statement. A general statement would be what he's doing, and he would say something like this. In a perfect world, it's important to make sure that we use the media that younger people are consuming so we can better focus on the next generation of potential employees, which is businesses for nothing. So you see, use in a perfect world, blank, with a specific example, a specific thing that happened to you, and then imagine with something you wish would happen to you. And that's vivid imagery. Don't drown your audience in data. If your talk relies heavy on data, be sure to explain what the data means on a human level. Yes, and again, how? People want to know how you think, feel, and believe. Yes, again, give me a strategy here. And here's a strategy. 2 parts. Number 1, if you have a slide with a lot of data on it, make all the big data into one little data by telling people what to look at within the image. So imagine you have a chart with like a thing. Could everyone do me a favor? I want you to look at the blue line only. Just look at the blue line. All you need to know about the blue line is blank. That's how you don't drown your data. Number 1, you tell them what to look at within a smaller image within the bigger image. I call it magnification principle. And number 2, you use that phrase. All you need to know about blank is this. Could everyone look at the spreadsheet? I know there's a lot of number here, but could you all look where it's bolded and it says 21? Can you all find where it says 21%? All you need to know about that 21% is that's the increase in sales I believe I can generate as the manager of this region, using his examples. So magnify, bigger image into small, and then use the phrase, all you need to know is blank. Identify anything that doesn't clearly support your purpose. Again, everyone thinks they're doing this. Here's another strategy, everybody, because this is like, if you're going to read this article, it's just another reason why no one respects communication skills. No one respects, let me change that. Everyone knows communication is important. No one respects the people that do it because it's fun little, oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's really interesting. That was a lot of fun. Doesn't change behavior. So here's what you do. Time your presentation. Okay. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is that you're planning on doing. Just time it, do it. Then do the exact same presentation in half the time, like half it. Cut the time in half. So if your presentation was 10 minutes, do it in 5. Then cut that time in half. So do the exact same presentation again in 2.5 minutes. Okay. Don't take a lot of time to think between these two. Like do this all at once. At 2.5 minutes, you can either half it again, make it like a minute, or you can use the Ig Nobel approach. And the Ig Nobels are amazing. Do a search, do yourselves a favor. The Ig Nobels are this amazing award ceremony for research, real research that makes you laugh and then makes you think. And you get an Ig Nobel presented to you by an actual Nobel laureate. And it's done at Harvard. And it's amazing. And you should watch it. It's quite fun. They have the 24/7 approach. And they say, they have all these researchers that come up and explain a very complex idea first in 24 seconds, then in 7 words. After you've done your timing strategy to eliminate anything that doesn't clearly support your purpose, do your presentation in 24 seconds and then do it in 7 words, and you will have your core message. Done. See, strategy. And this, Mr. Bowe, I'm sorry, this is the one thing that we can agree on, dear sir. But I have a question for you and for the viewers, citizens of YouTube. Record yourself or practice in front of real people. It should be the other way around. Practice in front of real people. Always. Practicing in front of the mirror, mumbling to yourself in your car, mumbling to yourself on the bus, staring at your slides and going, okay, I'm going to talk about that, I'm going to talk about that, does not help you. You need to practice with the fear of being watched. But, and here's the question, what happens when you have no one you can practice with? What happens if you have to do something really technical and you know that no one that you know can kind of apprehend it without giving them a bunch of like preface? He'd probably say, well, it doesn't matter how technical it is. You got to distill it down to simple words. Sure, whatever. But suppose you don't have someone you can practice with. Maybe you don't have anyone. Maybe you're like in an isolated place. Maybe you're an isolated individual. Maybe you're an introvert. What do you do then? How do you practice? How do you replicate the nervousness? Because that's why this works. Here's what he's not telling you. You have to replicate the nervousness of being watched, the nervousness you will feel in your presentation, in your practice. Because unless you practice with nervousness, you will never build a calluses. Do you see that? Look at my calluses, the tough skin. You will never build a calluses to nervousness. So the secret is this: practicing with nervousness. So the nerves that you feel when you're speaking, because you're always going to be nervous, there's no such thing as overcoming nervousness, but the nerves that you feel will not affect your delivery. Practicing in front of people, yes. Recording, not as good, but fine. You really want to do something, or you don't have anyone you can practice with, here's all you got to do. Go and practice outside where people can see you. Like, talk this loud to yourself at a park. Talk this loud to yourself walking down the street. Here's what will happen. The second people see you or walk by you, you're going to get that crazy self-consciousness, and you're going to forget what you're going to say, and you're going to shut up. That's where you would have stumbled in your presentation. But keep doing it, friends. Keep doing it, and I guarantee you, people walking by, and it'll affect you less and less and less and less. And then when you actually have to present, you will still feel that self-conscious, that nervousness, but you will have the calluses, and it won't affect you, and you won't stumble, and you'll have a better presentation for it. So, Mr. Bowe, you seem very accomplished in the world of journalism, but I don't know what that has to do with public speaking. Ooh, backhanded compliment. I'm so sorry. Mr. Bowe, I'm sure you had the best intentions for this article. Again, it's one of a cajillion articles that we've all read for years and years and years, but it would have been great if there was some substance to it versus just these generalities. And CNBC, why not get someone who can do something like that? Why not hire me? There, I said it. Let me write an article for you. Anyway, that has been my review of Bad at Public Speaking. The trick is to distill your message to 15 words, not 14 and not 16, because that is unacceptable. But that was my review. I hope you enjoyed it, YouTube community, citizens of YouTube. Mr. Bowe, if you ever watch this and you're like livid and mad, reach out, because I don't talk. I don't just talk. I don't just trash talk. I will back it up. Any group, anytime. I'm happy and comfortable speaking and training. So thank you all. Have a fabulous rest of your day or evening, depending on when you're watching this. I do have a course on public speaking, and the link is below. Thank you.